Hi everyone, and welcome to the next class in our CBT training series. And today we are talking about a big one: all or nothing thinking. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it black? Is it white? These extreme types of thinking approaches can cause real suffering and issues for us. And today we're going to be looking at understanding what it is and what we can do about it. So hold on tight and let's get going. So you might have heard of this before, all or nothing thinking. Now, as human beings, a lot of us tend to think in extremes. We either think something's good or it's bad. We might say this always happens or this never happens. We might say you're either a success, you either made it, or you failed, you're a total failure. We could say either your performance was excellent or it was bad. This black and white binary thinking is a way that many of us view our lives through. So let's look at some of these binary ways of thinking. The first way we can look at things is something good or is it bad? Now, honestly, when we really look at it, do we really know whether something is good or if it's bad? For example, you might lose your job, but that might not necessarily be a bad thing. Good things could come from that. You might have a breakup in your relationship. You might think that's a bad thing, but maybe good things can come from it. So it's difficult for us to work out what is good and what is bad. And as human beings, we naturally want to put things in their relevant boxes. We want to say this is a particular way, but a lot of the time we just don't know. If something doesn't go how you want it to go, if something doesn't go how you planned it to go, is that bad? We can't know for sure. And as we know from previous videos, we really don't know the truth. We can have a guess, but we can't know for sure. Now, there are other types of extreme thinking, all or nothing thinking. For example, you might say, either I get this exactly right, either I get it done right perfectly or exactly to my expectations, and if I don't do that, well, it's a disaster, it's a total failure. Can you see that that is all or nothing thinking? Either I get it exactly right and exactly how I want, or it is a total disaster, it's not going to work. Let me give you another example. I have to do something better than other people. I have to beat them, and if I don't, it proves that I'm no good. There you go again. You can see we are setting these high expectations. Either it's really good or it's pointless. And for many of us human beings, we switch between one side and the other. We might say, if I don't get to that meeting on time, then, well, it's all ruined, or I might as well give up. Again, there's no middle ground. There's no nuance. And in truth, we don't really live in a black and white universe. There's infinite number of colors in between. Everything isn't so binary. We might say, well, if they don't like my cooking, then what's the point of trying? Again, we're moving from one extreme to the other. Now, there's also this type of thinking where we say this always happens to me, or this never happens to me, or you always do this, or you never do this. Again, you can see it's kind of a black and white thinking. It's extreme thinking. Either it's this or it's that. And a lot of the time when we use these types of words, always and never, it's not true. It's not consistent with reality. It's not true all the time. And also it's pretty stressful. It's stressful for us. It's stressful for our own emotions. And it doesn't really help us to connect with how reality actually is. Here's the secret. This is what the video is all about. As human beings, as I said, we like to think in these extreme options, one or the other, but the truth is, in reality, life just isn't that way. And what I like to call multi-value awareness systems. So if we look at nature, nature isn't just black and white, right? If you look at nature, look at the trees and plants and sky, it's multicolored. There aren't just two options. There are infinite number of colors in between. And if you look at temperature, temperature isn't just hot and cold. There are many temperatures in between. There's mild, there's warm, there's quite hot. There's infinite number of temperature. It's not just hot and cold. The same is true for our circumstances. our circumstances aren't just one thing or the other. And for us, there are infinite levels of value between one extreme and the other. And when we try to put things in those boxes, and we try to compartmentalize issues and topics, and we put them in one box or the other, it just doesn't make any sense. Because the truth is, most of the time, most of the things we have a value judgment about aren't one side or the other, it's somewhere in the middle. If you lose your job, it's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. You don't know. It's somewhere in the middle. If things don't go according to your plans, according to your expectations, you don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. When we use multi-value awareness systems, it means that it's somewhere in the middle. We don't know where in the middle, but until we know, we just can't tell. So is it good? Is it bad? A lot of the time, it's somewhere in between. And that's not how we talk about things in life. We don't go, it's somewhere in between. Normally we're flipping out, right? We're saying this is terrible, this is awful, this is a disaster, this is no good, there's no point trying. Truth of the matter is, when we meet reality as it is, it's somewhere in the middle. So this is what we call multi-value awareness systems. And when you say someone never does this, or this always happens, what's close to the truth is, it sometimes happens. Things, sometimes we like to put them in their extreme parts, but they're not. They're somewhere in the middle. And they'll be, even if you're talking about yourself and you say, I never do this, if you look really hard, maybe you do it now and again. It's rarely that extreme. So just look at the situations in your life. Look at the problems you're dealing with. And as we know from the previous videos, we know what we tell ourselves about these things. We say, we might catastrophize. We might turn something that's a bad thing into a terrible thing, for example. But have a look at those situations that you think are good or they're bad, and just have a closer look. How bad is it? And is my analysis, am I being quite extreme about it? Am I saying either this happens or this is going to happen? Or are we saying, well, in actual fact, the truth is somewhere in between? Life isn't black and white, and neither are your circumstances. And the sooner you can allow yourself to see reality in that middle way, then life becomes a lot easier, a lot more relaxed. So, if you've got any questions, put them below the video and begin looking at your circumstances in a way that allows you to see the middle ground, the middle way. What is a middle way of looking at your problems? What is a middle way of looking at a situation that you're dealing with? Okay, so good luck with that, and I'll see you in the next video.